Hello, and welcome to Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm your old host, Madelyn.
I'm your fresh young host, Emma.
I wasn't sure which way you were going to take it. I was like, will she do the young? Will she do new? Will she do even ancienter? Like, which direction is she going to go?
Fresh.
Fresh. I like it. Fresh is a valid, solid direction, and I can approve.
Thanks.
So thanks for tuning in, listeners. This is one of our side quest episodes of Talk This. You'll note on the main show, not that it really counts that way anymore, we're doing kind of an open world style format, or like conception of these shows now.
It's basically Madelyn playing Breath of the Wild. Run in a direction and hope you find something.
That's so rude. Anyway, so on our main quests, we talk about a game, old and new, and try to mash them together. But since our game mashups are pretty rough, coming up with them once every 2 weeks, we try to give our brains a break and not do that every week.
Yes.
Instead, on our off weeks, we talk sort of more casually in our little news magazine format here about what we've been playing. The weather report, the traffic report. Isn't that nice weather and traffic right here on your friendly little video game podcast? But also our question of the fortnight and our off-topic corner. It's going to be a good episode this time. We've got some good stuff to discuss.
Heck yeah.
So Emma, let's just jump on in. What have you been playing? What's your saved data from the past 2 weeks?
Well, I got the Devil May Cry HD collection, or as the main menu says, Devil May Cry HD collection. And I started playing Devil May Cry 1, and it's old. It is an old game. Like, I don't remember quite when the first one came out even, but like the character models look super old. They're all like blocky and stuff, and the menu, oh my god, the menu is just very aesthetic. It's not very user friendly. The colors don't contrast very well, and I have no idea what I'm doing in it. It reminds me a lot, actually. The more I think about it and the more I've been playing it, it reminds me a lot of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Just like edgy Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
You missed a real opportunity there to call the menu stylish, by the way, instead of
well,
aesthetic.
It's not very stylish, to be fair. But the camera angles, oh my god. The camera angles, Madelyn, the camera angles on this game are driving me crazy. They just, like, you don't control the camera. It just, like, changes placement based on where your character is, like, very suddenly. So you'll be in the middle of, like, a mash of enemies, and it'll be, like, switching back and forth between being behind you and being in front of you, and the controls switch when it does that, right? So I'm getting used to, like, pressing down to go forward, and then suddenly I have to press up to go forward. But if I'm right on where the camera switches, it just keeps going like that. And Dante's not particularly responsive. Like, once he's in a combo, he's going in that direction. There's no switching targets for Dante. Yeah. The level, like, I'm enjoying it. It's very button mashy right now. It doesn't really ease you into it. Like, it's got a cool aesthetic, and I like the battle music and stuff, but it's got a lot of old-style jank to it. I'm kind of considering jumping right to Devil May Cry 3, because I know that's a prequel. So it might still be kind of confusing, but it might be less confusing, and also be a little bit more updated as opposed to this one. I'm thinking about doing that, because the HD collection has 1 through 3 on it. But I played about an hour of the first game, and I got a C rank on the first mission and a D rank on the second mission. Which it seems to be entirely based on how fast you do it. Which is a little hard when it gives you, like, no indication of where you're supposed to go or what you're supposed to do. I had to look up what to do for the second mission because I had the shrine thing and I didn't know what to do with it.
Coddled modern gamer.
I know, that's me. I also, and maybe you want to talk first before I go into this because it's kind of a nice transition into our next segment, but I also happened to buy The Walking Dead, the final season, right before the announcement. The night before, I was like, oh man, the second episode of this is coming out in a few days. I should buy it. I really care about Clementine. I want to play it and see what they're doing. And I saw pictures and the engine looks like it's working so much better. So I bought it. And then some unfortunate news came less than 24 hours later.
You jinxed it.
I know. It's all my fault.
Like, there's all this, talk on Twitter of, like, what caused it? Like, could they have known this was going to happen? But no, they couldn't have, because they could not have predicted that Emma Pickett would buy the game.
Yes. I'll talk a little bit more about my impressions of that in our next segment. So, Madelyn, why don't you talk about what you've been playing these past 2 weeks?
Jack squat. That's not totally true. I really haven't played very much. Yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks here, and I haven't really had a lot of time for gaming. Like, when I play Persona, I'm always going to have to play, like, at least 2 hours at a stretch, so it's hard. And plus, I'm right on the... I've got 5 days until our popularity goes in the toilet. So it feels like if I sit down and play, like, I'll have to get through those 5... Like, I could play 5 days. Like, that would be fine. I could probably do that. I could probably hold myself to an hour if I had to. But we're gonna get thrust into some big, like, story plot thing where, like, I don't have control of Champ for, 2 weeks, almost certainly. So it feels like I need to wait until I have time to really get through all of that at once.
It does usually give you a chance to save at night in between those days, though.
Yeah, I know you can usually save at night, but sometimes you can't, and you get kind of caught up in the story, and it feels dumb. You're, like, going through and you're like, when do I get to do stuff on my own again? And I don't know. I don't really have an excuse. I just haven't. But we have started a couple of new gaming experiences here. I guess we watched... Had we watched 358 over 2, the last side quest? I don't think we had.
You hadn't.
So we finally finished, although, did we? I'll talk about that in a minute. We finally finished the Kingdom Hearts content that we have available on the PS3 for us here by watching the 358 over 2 movie, which will turn itself into a Clickbait Boyfriend blog probably in about a month or so. But, spoiler alert, Clickbait Boyfriend does not really feel like he understands very much better anything.
Okay.
At all.
Okay.
He's got thoughts.
Okay. I look forward to reading them.
Yes. Also, that whole thing with Xion's hood going up and down does not play. Just looks like sloppy animation. It was very confusing.
It's a lot clearer in the DS version. I can assure you of that.
I believe you, but we were very perplexed by it here. There was no explanation.
I mean, it's supposed to be confusing, right? But it happens so much in the DS version that you realize that it's purposeful.
Well, that's cool. Too bad I'm not playing on the DS.
Well, it's probably fine. The gameplay of the DS version is not particularly enthralling, so...
We intuited that, believe it or not. Anyway, so look out for those thoughts coming eventually. But it was cool, though, it was good to finally have watched it. I hadn't watched it before, so it was good we'd finally seen it. Let's see what else. I also, Clickbait Boyfriend's in Kingdom Hearts Withdrawal, right? Because he doesn't have anything else to play. So, I started him actually playing Chain of Memories.
Wow.
Last time we just, between Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, we just kind of, watched the cutscenes on YouTube. But now he's actually playing it. Mostly because I have never played through the Riku side of it. But to play through the Riku side of it, someone in this household needs to play through the Sora side of it first.
Mm-hmm.
So, why not subject him to that?
What I found when I was replaying Chain of Memories before I sort of like dropped it for new games, as I was playing it on the hard difficulty, and it makes the worlds like excruciating, just like the normal Heartless, like excruciatingly boring, but the boss fights are super, super fun on Proud. Like it's like this weird thing where like when you can see their cards and like what they're doing, it becomes actually like, I think what its intention to be, like a strategy thing where you're not like you're looking at your cards and looking at their cards and like having to think on the fly and have strategies and a plan A and a plan B by setting up your deck that way. And that's a lot of fun. But like when there's just like masses of Heartless throwing random cards at you, that's not fun. You just have to like spam powerful AoE slights and get through it. But the boss fights were like super exciting, like some of the most fun. Honestly, I was really surprised by how much fun I had with it.
So yeah, Clickbait Boyfriend is not playing on Proud, has not played a single game on Proud, nor do I think should he. And yeah, can guarantee that will not be his experience. Like, pretty much can guarantee it. We'll see. We'll see when the blogs come out.
You'd have to dedicate time to like building a deck, so it doesn't seem very Clickbait Boyfriend to me.
Not at all. Anyway, so that happened, and also we got, because it was on sale, Super Mario Odyssey.
Ooh.
Which Josh started playing. Wow, it's a weird game.
Yeah, it sure is.
He's played it for like an hour and a half, and already Mario has been a frog and a Tyrannosaurus, and like, what is going on?
Yeah, the first animation sequence that happens when he possesses the thing for the first time is kind of scary. Like where he falls into the void and comes out a frog.
There's also a weird thing before that where you're like learning the controls, where you can kind of just like bounce on the frogs' heads forever, but like Mario is like doing a split on like the tongue of the frog.
Isn't that lovely?
Isn't it? So yeah, did that appear on Clickbait Boyfriend's Instagram story? Of course it did. Because he can't resist. Anyway, that's about all I've got for my save data this week. Hoping to have a lot more next time. I actually carve out some gaming time. Which brings us to the weather report.
Yes. So, some background before we get to the weather question. Last Thursday, I think it was on Thursday, Telltale Games announced that they had started a closure, although they've since changed their statement on that. And I'll actually be honest for once, we're not recording this on noon on Sunday, so it's possible that new details have come out in the time that we recorded this, but this is up to date from like a couple days ago. They've since changed their tune and said that these 25 employees that they still have on staff are going to continue indefinitely. So they're not closing yet. They just have severely downsized. And by severely downsized, I mean they laid off about 250 employees with no severance pay. Yes. It comes after a couple of studio closures. There's been a bunch in the past couple of weeks, but this one was the biggest. It also comes after they laid off about 70 employees with severance about half a year ago. And it also comes in the middle of their release of The Walking Dead, the final season, right before their second episode came out. I've seen a lot of speculating online, although there's nothing particularly concrete yet, of either, like, they changed CEOs a bit ago, and he's the former CEO of Zynga, which he apparently has kind of a reputation for coming into companies and, like, selling them to make himself money. Or it's also possible that just Telltale hasn't been run particularly well financially, and it's possible they were banking on like one deal that just did not come through, and if they'd gotten that deal they would have been fine, and if they didn't, they weren't. So that's possibly what happened. Obviously, I don't feel like I have to say it, it's horrible that all these employees got no severance. Although, like, with the way they handled their layoffs before, I like to think that if they had thought that they were going to close, they would have planned for that. So it feels like something unexpected went wrong. Obviously, I don't know that for sure. But there is this question at this point of whether or not Telltale should pursue outside partners to finish up the final season of The Walking Dead. Which is it's a hard question. Like, the people who made The Walking Dead are what make The Walking Dead good, right? It's not Telltale. And you want the people who actually worked on it to be making it, and that wouldn't be what would be happening, right? And then there's the question of if they did that, where would the money from any season pass sales go? But if they don't do that, do I get half a refund on my season pass subscription? Because they didn't sell it in singular episodes. They only sold it in season passes. And you don't have this feeling because Madelyn has only played like a couple episodes of A New Frontier when we talked about it for the show. But I've played every season of The Walking Dead. The first season of The Walking Dead is still one of my favorite games, and one that really moved me. And Clementine is like an amazing character. Like, even if you don't like Telltale style of games, like, she's just a stellar example of a female minority character in gaming. And I really liked the first episode of the final season. I haven't played the second episode yet. I'm not sure if I will or won't. But the first episode was like the same sort of feeling I got from the first episode of the first season. I don't know. Like, ideally what I would want to happen is I'd want them to finish it and then send the proceeds into like a little fund that they could use as severance, like delayed severance for their employees. But I wouldn't even know how that would happen. And I don't even know if they'll be able to follow through with this because they're getting hit with class action lawsuits now about their handling of the situation. So it's a whole cluster mess.
Yeah, so what I'll say is, it would be one thing if the 25 people they'd kept on were like the Walking Dead team.
Yeah.
Right? Because
reportedly, they are working on Minecraft Story Mode, which is in conjunction with Netflix.
Right. Which, of course, makes sense, right? That's a moneymaker.
And something they're probably obligated to do.
Yes. Although they had other things that they were supposed to be working on with Netflix, which Netflix has said will continue to happen, just with someone else.
Yeah, Stranger Things.
Exactly. There was another one, too, something that was a little bit less big name than that, but Stranger Things being the big one. So it would be one thing to say, oh yeah, like I would say, of course they should continue it with outside funding if they had maintained that team, right? But now we're in this like awkward position because while it would be lovely for them to be able to sell the game and put it into some kind of delayed severance fund, like that's not how a business works.
Yeah.
Right? Especially a business that is presumably like tremendously in debt.
Yeah.
As Telltale must be. Given that I've read now that maybe they haven't been profitable since the only game they've ever made that made money was The Walking Dead Season 1.
Yeah.
So presumably they are in the hole, and any money that they do make will go towards paying off those debts and compensating their investors. So there's no way, there's no altruistic way that any of that money gets to the people that actually made the game. Now, you see them on Twitter, and you see some of the devs who seem very, very happy that the game will be finished.
Yeah.
Right? I just can't imagine being in that kind of situation where you're working on a game that you've been working on for such a long time and that is really reaching potentially a creative peak, and then just have it snatched away. Another complicated thing, I imagine, is like, where are they in development on these third and fourth episodes, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, Telltale is spread really, really thin, so and that was, part of the problem with the business model is they made too many mediocre to bad games and should have probably narrowed their focus to just creating a few good games each year, but whatever.
I mean, I do think they had shifted a little bit in that, like, The Walking Dead, the final season was, like, their major project for a while. Like, they didn't release anything this past spring, I'm pretty sure. So, like, they had The Wolf Among Us Season 2 in production and stuff like that, but they had pushed them, they're all back to 2019, so this was, like, their year's project. So, what I've seen is that, like, what I would imagine and what I've kind of gotten the impression of is that episode 3 is, like, getting there, and, like, episode 4 at least, like, had a plan sketched out for it.
So, they're probably entitled to do this legally, but it feels gross. To say, oh, we fired all the devs, but we're still gonna, like, use the work they did.
Yeah.
And the story planning they did, which presumably, I mean, not that there's not a lot of, like, coding and stuff that goes into making video games, because of course there is, but you have to think that, like, 50% of the work in Telltale is story mapping. Much, much more than any other video game. It's creating those dialogue options.
Yeah.
And you imagine that, well, I would imagine anyway, if I were running this company, that, like, a lot of that work must be done, or at least sketched out.
Yeah.
Which puts you in this weird position of you fired all the people that created that, and they're not going to make any money off of it. But, it's there, and, like, do you throw it out?
Yeah.
And I don't know what their legal obligations would be to this team, whether they have to see some kind of residuals because they wrote it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would depend on their contracts. Probably not, right? This is why video game developers need a union.
Yeah.
But we won't get into that right now. That's huge. I had another thing to say, and it was about the season pass. I'll bet you there's some kind of fine print that no one has ever read that says that they're not entitled. You're not entitled to the full season if it doesn't get made.
Yeah, it's not something that's happened before. I'm pretty sure. I mean, lots of games have episodic releases, but I don't think they've ever failed to deliver on one before. At least in terms of big companies. I don't know about, like, Kickstarters and stuff like that, but...
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that develops. Because, I don't know, again, if you're a company that banks on episodic releases, you'd think that you have to have some kind of plan of, like, what happens if this game can't get finished.
Yes, it's very weird, though. This is, like, usually they let you buy it episode by episode. It ends up being, like, slightly more expensive if you do it that way, but usually that's an option. It wasn't an option with the final season.
Well, that says to me a lot of people buy episode 1 and don't buy any of the other episodes just because they forget. Because it takes forever between episode releases for Telltale frequently, at least in the past.
Yeah.
So that is the reason that they were losing money. That's what that points to, is that too many people would buy the first game, the first episode, and then not come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with The Walking Dead, which is one that a lot of people have played a portion of at this point, and many people have played all of, but even more people have played a portion of, enough people will be curious enough to plunk down the cash for the whole season. And then they'll make money even if those people don't actually end up playing it all.
Yeah. Yeah. That does make sense. But yeah, it's hard. I kind of hope that even if nothing gets made, maybe they'll release what the plans were. I don't know. I wish I knew. Like, Clementine is very important to me. It's hard. It's like hard to articulate that until, like, you don't get that resolution to her story. Like, as much as I didn't really like season 2 or season 3, like, Clementine was the best part of any game, really, that Telltale's made. Whatever. Before we move to the next segment, if you look up, I think it's Emily Buck on Twitter, Or just go to Waypoint and look at their, Don't Let Telltale Milk Your Fandom article. She has a whole Twitter thread of coffees, like buy me a coffee things for Telltale devs who are looking for jobs and need some support in the meantime. So if you want to give them like $3 to help them through a little bit, you can look at that. Or if you know any jobs, you can post them under hashtag Telltale Jobs to help them find work.
It's really the end of an era for Talk This, you know? Back in the early days when I knew nothing about games and all I talked about was Telltale.
Yeah.
It's weird that has come to a close.
Yeah.
This podcast has outlasted Telltale Games. Not only has it outgrown its obsession with, but it has actually outlasted. Anyway, on that weirdly gloaty note.
Yeah.
Come on over. Let's get away from that cold, chilly wind of layoffs and depression and joblessness and not getting to see the resolution for beloved characters. Let's leave that outside. It's cozy warm in here. We've got bean bags, we've got blankets, we've got snacks. Settle on in. It's the Off-Topic Corner.
Welcome.
This week, we're going pretty wide-ranging, pretty broad with our question. Not our question, our topic. It's an off-topic corner. It's not an off-question corner. Whatever. Anything goes here. With our topic this week, we're talking about some of our favorite music. Emma, take it away.
Me? This topic was really just an excuse for you to give me new music recommendations because I've been coming up a little dry lately.
Wow, you've come to the wrong place because I listen to the same music that I did in 2013.
I do too. Oh no, this is a problem. Well, I mean, I guess if we're starting out with like staples, we both really like this band, Jukebox the Ghost. The classic.
Is this an excuse to like tag them on Twitter?
Yeah, let's do it. Wow, Jukebox the Ghost, we talked about you in our totally off-brand podcast. Love us. No.
Jukebox the Ghost, you should really check them out.
Yes.
They're like Queen. Queen was just a little bit more pop sensibility.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Yeah.
And they're great. They're on tour now.
Yeah.
And you should really check them out, especially if you're in a city with Halloween. They said there was going to be an East Coast one, and there's been no announcement.
Where is it, Juicebox? Where is it?
If you want to come on the podcast and reveal it exclusively, we would be open to that.
Let's see. What other bands do I like? Oh, Lights, which, if you're nerdy, which you probably are if you listen to this podcast, Lights' most latest album was also a comic book series. Was like an album with a comic book tie-in, and you're like supposed to listen to different songs while you read certain parts of the comic, which is pretty cool. I haven't gotten around to reading the comic yet, but I do like the album, and I own the comic, so I just have to find time to really sit down and digest it.
She also did a full album of Drake covers, right?
She did?
Yeah, she like posted it and had to take it down.
Oh,
it's somewhere.
Man. Wow.
So,
I should go listen to that. For sure.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it either, but it's out there somewhere. It was on Spotify for like a day, and then she was like, yeah, I guess I can't have this up.
Getting back to dangerously close to on topic, but I've been listening to the Transistor OST a lot in the last couple days, which is a video game from Supergiant. It's very soothing and calming. It's very nice for when I'm very stressed. And I've also been listening to the Devil Trigger from Devil May Cry 5, which is like 7 minutes of pure motivation for when I need to get some quick emails sent out.
Nice.
Yes. So I recommend both those for both those very specific purposes. What about you, Madelyn?
Well, just semi-recently, I saw Regina Spektor in concert for the first time.
Ooh.
A solo show. Paid way too much for it.
Of course.
But decided to go day of. It was great. She's very weird in person, which is perhaps not surprising.
It's not surprising, no.
But Regina Spektor is great. It was very cool to see her live after listening to her music for like over a decade. So that was neat. Been listening to a bunch of Radical Face lately. Specifically that one album. Its name I can't remember right now. You know the one.
Yeah, the one Radical Face album.
They have other albums.
I know,
you know
they do.
The
I
one.
was joking.
The only one I ever listened to. It's great. It's a real nice fall vibe. And didn't listening to Neutral Milk Hotel, their classic In an Aeroplane Over the Sea album. That's always a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Clickbait Boyfriend and I are going to see TTNG, which, how would you describe them?
Math rock.
Right. We're going to see TTNG in a couple weeks, which is a math rock band, which if you don't know what that means, they switch time signatures a lot.
Ah, I never knew what that meant. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's just technical.
Yeah.
But they're chill. It's not like it's not like heavy metal, which is what we listen to some of that because Clickbait Boyfriend likes that. But it's like chill. It's like nice and chill. Good music. So excited for that one. And yeah, I have a big, if anyone wants to get added to it, we've got a big Spotify playlist that Clickbait Boyfriend and I have compiled over the years, although I have never added a single song to it. It's supposed to be collaborative, but it's not. It's called the Funky Hipster Mix. Pretty much encapsulates my music taste, so listen to that when cooking and hanging, studying. And as usual, many remixes of Simple and Clean.
Of course. Gotta have those remixes.
Clickbait Boyfriend didn't believe me that they used the same remix at the beginning of like all the games. He was like, "No, it's not the same. It's not. They didn't do it the first game." And then he looked it up and he was wrong.
When you get 2.8, you'll get to hear a new remix of it, though.
Oh dang!
Yeah.
Don't tempt me.
Also, Skrillex is working on the intro theme.
Okay, but I saw this great tweet that was like, okay, but Skrillex is Killers with an X, so dude has been in on it from the beginning.
He loves Kingdom Hearts.
I know.
There are all these tweets of him being like, Kingdom Hearts is the best, y'all, or something to that effect. It's so funny.
I know. We lost Eminem as a fan, but we gained Skrillex.
Nice. Good trade-off. Anyway.
Speaking of Kingdom Hearts, beep beep, it's the traffic report. Just like my little break sound there.
I did. It was real good.
Thanks. So on our blog and our social media this week, we got a lot of blog content from the past couple of weeks. 2 editions of Split Screen and Clickbait Boyfriend, which are great. We have the conclusion of Terra and the first edition of Aqua and Clickbait Boyfriend, featuring like a lot of memes that I made myself. So go tell me that they're good. Yeah.
Add it to your resume.
Meme maker.
Yes. Honestly, probably a pretty marketable skill these days.
It's like, I don't even do it using Photoshop either. I just use Paintbrush.
Wow.
So I'm the MacGyver of memes.
Yes.
Meme-gyver, they call me.
Uh-huh.
And on Split Screen, sports, and more sports. Also drama.
Yes. That's a pretty good summary.
I thought so too. Plus, bonus, there's a Buzz This up from last Friday, which is which Dungeons & Dragons character class are you? Based on our what was it? Our question of the fortnight.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So go take it. Find out which one you are. And tell me which Dungeons & Dragons character I should be in the real-life Dungeons & Dragons group that I'm sort of trying to join. Because I need to read the handbook, and I haven't.
Also, if you go to our YouTube channel, which is Talk This Sisters, this past Thursday or Friday, one of those 2 days.
This week.
If you
If you subscribed, you would know.
Yeah. there's a play this on Octopath Traveler, which I promise I won't talk about it again for a while, even if I play it. I won't bring it up. I know we're all sick of hearing Emma talk about Octopath Traveler.
I watched the video, and it was the best one yet, so you should check it out.
Yes, it was.
It was the best one yet by far.
Of course. So subscribe to us there for monthly Play This installments.
When is Noodletis dropping?
I addressed this in the latest Play This, Madeline, so you should have listened closer.
I'm sorry. I was so stunned by the analysis that my brain was just melted.
It's, all the pieces are there. I just need, 3 hours to, sit down with it and do it, and I haven't had time to do that. I'm hoping to have time during the long weekend that's coming up, so probably in the next 2 weeks. I know I said it was coming August, and it will be October, but you know what? Sorry.
September doesn't really count as a month anyway.
No, it's not. Is it a month? It's like a year, so...
I was just thinking that today. I was like, wow, I went on vacation a month ago. I was thinking, wow, September really flew by. And then I was like, literally a month ago I was in Rome. I was like, that feels like a year ago.
Speaking of music, I've just been real inspired by Green Day's Wake Me Up When September Ends. So, yeah, that's why. Just been sleeping through September.
It's a sleepy month.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me do our little social media spiel. Emma already started it, but you should subscribe to us on YouTube. There, we're Talk This Sisters. You'll catch Play This, including this most recent one on Octopath Traveler, the Clickbait Boyfriend mini vlogs. You know what? In this next 2 weeks, the best one ever is going to come out. I've decided.
Awesome.
So get hyped. And, someday, maybe, I'll get back to our little Flashback Fridays. Probably not until 2019, based on my current schedule. But there are some up there, and you should check them out if you want to get caught up on some of our back catalog. Mm-hmm. Also, you should check us out on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, Talk This Podcast, where you can find out when any of our blogs go up, some memes, some Twitter tweet thoughts, just general good stuff that you should want to see. So definitely follow us there. You should also check out our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can find said blog and also more info about us, about the show, and the show notes that in 2019, I'm going to do them. I'm going to do them.
Okay, Mom.
I am.
Okay.
I was thinking about this today. I was like, that's going to be a project for 2019. I'm going to do them.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
Uh-huh.
I know I said that in 2018, but by golly, I'm gonna.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, also, if you like the show, or if you want to hear more, or even if you just think, hey, whatever, I've got 5 minutes, what should I do now? You should subscribe to our show on the podcasting platform of your choice.
Yes.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, and pretty much any other podcasting directory that you can think of. If we're not on your preferred one, drop us a line, and we'll make sure we get that all set up real soon. While you're there, why don't you give us a rate and a review? We want to hear your thoughts, and we love good thoughts, but give us your improvements too, because we can always use that.
Yes.
Constantly improving here at Talk This. I'm getting lost in a little tangent here, so why don't we go on to the question of the fortnight?
Well, the most important question of our time. Bowsette? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Is it Bowsette or is it Bowserette?
I thought it was Bowsette.
You're probably right.
But, in case you were wondering what that is, there was a Nintendo Direct where Toadette puts on a peach crown and turns into Peach. Peachette. And so, of course, the internet was like, what if Bowser put on the crown? Turns into Bowsette.
What am I thumbs upping or thumbs, what is the thumbs up or thumbs down to?
You can define it as you like.
You first. I don't know.
I'm a thumbs up. I don't fully understand why it's become such a sensation. Fan artists gender swap characters all the time. I don't know why this one is such a sensation. But it's fun. I like seeing, quote unquote, not like, I don't know how to say it, like casual artists, but casual isn't the right word, but like, you know, fan artists or whatever. Hobbyists, like put their spin on other people's characters. So there's like a bunch of sexy Bowsettes, which is a little weird, but you know what? Luigi's got whatever. Luigi's dead. Mario's got nipples. Nothing is sacred anymore. But then there's also like wild Bowsette and really cute Bowsette, and it's fun to see like all the people's like interpretations. And now there's like put the crown on everything else, like Pokemon and Boozette and Goombazette, and it's just like this wellspring of creativity and cool female character designs. And how can I say no to that, huh?
I'm a thumbs down, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
I'm boycotting Bowsette until we get some Luigi. Justice for
Waluigi for Smash!
I will not allow this distraction, this sexy Bowser distraction, to take attention away from the injustice that has been committed against the
You know what? Just wait. In a couple of weeks, there'll be an announcement. And they'll pretend, like, Waluigi will show up, and he'll be like, oh my god! And then he'll just be ripped. His heart will be ripped out by Bowsette. And she will join the roster.
I just wanna... They have to include him.
He's an assist trophy. So...
No.
I know, that's not good enough. That's not good enough for my Waluigi.
Will they make a Bowsette assist?
You know what? That would be pretty cool of Nintendo.
Same moveset as Bowser, but Bowsette. They won't do it because it is not a family-friendly meme.
Yeah.
But I did make my own incarnation of it.
With the Sora selfie cam.
Yeah. Sora taking a selfie with Bowsette, you know.
Yep. Just casual things.
Yep. No, I mean, I'm like, no. And I stand by my no. Because you got a wah. But it's a wah on our hands. This means wah. But I agree about the fan art stuff. Whatever. Emma, whatever. Come back next week.
We'll have a full episode where we're talking about the secret of Monkey Island.
Oh, I'm sorry. What I meant to say was whatever.
Talking about the secret of Monkey Island and iconoclasts for our old and new game. Secret of Monkey Island is even older than, what did we talk about last time? Doom. It's even older than Doom. So.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy.
Diving into the archives.
So we'll have some fun with that. We hope you'll have some fun with that. So tune back in. Do you want to sign off, Madelyn?
Sure. This week, have a week where you two put a crown on your head and transform into a sexy version of the monster that you are.